All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get her going here. Start me off. Where did it go? Have it like $1,000. Open it up.
Do I need a real estate coach? Welcome back. Today's episode is answering the question, do I need a real estate coach? I'm Ted Thomas. For the past 30 years, I've been involved in the business of tax defaulted property as an investor, as a guide, and a coach for newcomers. Hundreds of people ask the same question. Should I have a coach? Well, I don't think you need a coach, but let's talk about that and see if you can decide that for yourself. I'll start by saying it's always expensive to get a coach. It's never cheap. By that I mean, if you go to school, it costs money. If you hire a private person, it costs money. If you don't get the coach, it costs money. So it always costs money. It's never cheap. Sometimes it takes a long time to learn a business. People that get a coach can do it relatively quickly. So many people attend a business school for 2 years, 4 years. They get an MBA, or they get a PhD, or they even get a bachelor degree, whatever. They get an education so they can be accepted as a professional. You probably want to do the same thing yourself, but I'm not pushing coaching just for the sake of pushing it. You need to decide that yourself because it's expensive. It costs money to do that. So you want to get the most out of it, so you've got to make that decision in your own mind. So in the past, it was always considered normal for a young person to become an apprentice, to learn carpentry, to learn plumbing, electricians, and so on. And then from there, they progress from apprentice to journeyman, and then on up to being a master. That was normal, and I think that still is the same way in those trades. And those young people are now earning $100,000 in those trades. So it's quite an incentive to go through a program where they really learn how to do things and people respect them as a professional. Well, there's no professional training that I know of for tax liens and tax deeds. The best we can do is we can associate you with people that are already coaches or already people that have done it. Now, we don't just have people that decide they're going to read a book and they're a coach, which is advertised all the time. So our coaches all have people with experience. Well, that would be the same way with the electrician or the plumber. You would learn from people that had experience of doing. So do you need a real estate coach? My answer to that is no. If you want to learn it on your own, it's just going to take you years to do it. All right, so there's nothing wrong with taking 3 years or 5 years to do what your question is. Do you need a coach? So no, you don't need a coach. But if you want to accelerate that whole process and get it done relatively quickly, well, then that's a different story. So if you're eager and you're ready to have coaching, just understand that's going to accelerate the experience, all right? So you'll earn money quicker if you get a coach, but you have to appreciate that you're doing that to accelerate the process and get the job done quickly so you can go out and start earning money. Now, if you're worried about work, don't worry about that because there's over 5,000 auctions every year and there's 3,000 different counties doing this, so there's going to be plenty for everyone. Now, 30 years ago, I discovered a very lucrative but little-known business, and that was tax defaulted property, all right? It was just traditional real estate that people hadn't paid the taxes. And the county seized those properties and then resold the property to collect the taxes. So the county took the property back in. They didn't want it, and now they're going to sell those properties for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. So I'm talking about traditional real estate, single-family home, residential lots, small farms, small apartment buildings. You got the idea. That's what it is. Now, with tax defaulted real estate, they're going to be used and abused, some of them. Some of them are going to be junk, so you don't want to buy any junk. But some just need clean up, fix up, and you can put them back out in the market. All right, so this is a unique part of the real estate business. It's been around for years, and it will continue to be around. So the business is 200 years old. These are people that didn't pay the mandatory taxes, and the county government just wants to get rid of the property. Now, do you need a coach to learn that? Well, no, you don't need a coach to learn that, but if you want to get a lot of learning quickly, then you probably do it. So the point is, many student investors are confused at this point. Do they need someone to help them, or don't they? Well, I'm going to tell you, guidance from successful coaching and mentors is almost a miracle. And that's why the best investment for you is get a better education. Why do I say that? Why is it important? Because you don't know what you don't know. Now, in my experience, when I started asking successful people for guidance, and I took their answers and I wrote them down, Well, my life changed a lot. How did it change? Well, because it's intimidating trying to be in a new business and there's tough questions and you're trying to figure it out. So why don't you find someone successful to answer? So when I found someone successful, you could call that a coach, you could call it a mentor, whatever, because there was no coaches when I started. And I started writing things down. Folks, if you don't have a coach, you're probably missing the boat, because who are you going to ask questions of? So you might have to learn the hard way. So in my business, I conduct many different trainings. Some of it's online, some of it's offline, some of it's coaching, some of it's in 3-day events. But I find people are confused. And the confused mind always does the same thing. It says no. And that means they don't do it, and that means they stop entirely. So don't make that decision to stop entirely. Think about what it is. Maybe you have to get part-time coaching. Maybe you have to find a mentor. You need to do something. So everybody's going to give you advice about tax liens and deeds. Everybody. I'm talking about young people will give you advice. They don't know what they're talking about. Old people will give you advice. They don't know what they're talking about. Your friends that don't like you, well, guess what? They'll give you advice. Everybody will give you advice. How can they give you advice if they haven't gone to school and learned it themselves? So you want to be very cautious when who you're taking advice from. Because if they haven't gone to class, how can they teach you to do it? So you want to be cautious on who you're going to learn. All right, now they're not intentionally giving you bad advice, but that's the way it's going to work out. So in this business, there's plenty of opportunities. All right, I already mentioned there's 5,000 tax auctions every year. There's 3,000 different counties. You don't even need a license from the governor to do this. Once you learn how to do this, you can go right to work and you can keep doing it. How about a coach and a mentor to accelerate your success? I suggest you really start thinking about that. So today's episode is a discussion, do I need a real estate coach? Only if you want to get the job done quickly and you want to make the most money the fastest. The answer is really up to you. It depends upon your willingness to accelerate your learning. Today, coaches are available. 30 years ago, there wasn't any coaches available. So you had to take the years to learn. So what you could learn in 1 year today took me 3 or 4 years to learn. Why? Because there was no one around to help. So why do I recommend a coach? Because you're going to discover you can just leapfrog over that painfully long learning curve line. Learning curve takes quite a while. What if you could leapfrog over that and be making money tomorrow or next month or whenever? That would accelerate your learning. And that's what we're talking about there. All right, otherwise, you're going to be forced to eat what you kill. Now, that's not a joke. What it really means is you're going to work hard, but you're going to have to use up all your money right away, just surviving. All right, it would be much better to learn how to make money and make lots of it so that you could grow a business and make a real business out of it. The magic is having access to someone who has already successfully navigated the terrain and avoided the minefield of obstructions. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state in the next 90 days. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. Small population counties will have dozens, sometimes hundreds of tax defaulted properties or tax lien certificates to auction. Now, the large population counties, they're going to have hundreds, sometimes thousands of tax defaulted properties to auction. Now, if the property owner fails to pay the property tax, the consequence is the tax collector, the treasurer, will seize and confiscate the property, and they want to sell it for 10 cents or 20 cents on the dollar. All they want to collect is the defaulted tax. They're trying to collect the tax money that's owed to the government. So they're going to sell that property at 5 or 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and the highest bidder will get the property. So what am I saying? I'm saying that these properties are selling below the assessed value by 60, 70, and 80% below the tax assessed value. So the legislature has authorized the official county treasurer to sell these properties without a mortgage and without a deed of trust. And the successful auction buyers will receive a property free and clear of mortgage or deed of trust owned. So real estate coaches know all these rules and they know what to do at these auctions. They can put you on the fast track, and isn't that exactly what you want? So let's look at someone on the fast track. Within 45 days, they're going to make real money. So this is a Wisconsin couple, and they shortly after they finished their training and graduated, sure enough, they purchased a property in Michigan. All right, now the tax assessed value was $55,000. The couple only paid $8,000, and they were the high bidder. That was less than 20 cents on the dollar. So what did they do? They proceeded to clear it up. They bought it for 60, 70, 80% below the assessed value. All right, so they just followed the same system I'm telling you to do. All right, so what did they do when they got the property? They cleaned it up. That added another $4,000 to their cost. So now they had $8,000 purchased plus $4,000. They're in at $12,000. All right, they advertised the property as we told them to do. They sold it on Facebook Marketplace, but they had already put it on Craigslist. They put it on multiple listing service. They put it on Zillow. They put it on Trulia, and they put signs on the property. All right, the assessed value was $55,000. They sold it for $35,000. They made a profit of $23,000. Folks, would that work for you? Yes, it would work for you. They bought the property during the holidays. Between the Thanksgiving holiday and the January 1st, they sold that property, and they took the $12,000. They not only made that $12,000, but they made $23,000 profit. Would that work for you? Then this is a system you should learn how to work. Do you need a real estate coach? Well, that's what a real estate coach did for them. I think it'd do the same thing for you. I'm going to close by telling you this. Below me, if you'd like to have an auction list, you could sign up and you could have a free auction list. Don't forget, request your free auction list right below me.